United States military officially declared an end to the mission in Iraq today, even as violence continues to plague the country and the Muslim world remains distrustful of American power. Now you tell me who won the war. Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films. Twitter at Robert Greenwald. Robert Byrd said on the Senate floor that this could be a turning point in U.S. foreign policy. Was he right?
Boy, that's a tough one. I think in the short term he's been right in that it's become so much easier for us to go to war now or escalate wars, as you and I have discussed around Afghanistan at great length. Hopefully, we're maybe beginning to see the beginning of a change now, a realization that we spent almost $1 trillion on the war in Iraq, a realization about the only ones profiting are these war profiteering companies, and the terrible human toll on Americans and Iraqis in Afghanistan. So I don't think it's clear yet, Ed. There really is the military-industrial complex, and many people have gone along with that and believe it. So we've got a significant job to try to convince them otherwise.
Your organization, Brave New Films, you have documented exactly what the cost has been. And we still have a heavy lift because we got a lot of veterans coming back who are going to try to get back into the economy, a lot of them dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. The bill for this is going to go on, I think, for another decade easily, if not longer. This was a terrible mistake. And it was a mistake in that we were not 45 minutes from a mushroom cloud. We are no more stable in the Middle East today than we were before the invasion. We've created a lot of ill will, and I think the Obama administration has done about as good a mop-up job as possible. And was the mission a success in any way? What do you think?
No, I think it's a terrible disaster and it's a tragedy. And in respect for the troops and the people whose families who've sacrificed lives, we all tend to want to make nice, right? Someone's lost their son or daughter or a relative. How do you tell them the war was a complete mistake with no gain? But if we don't do that, Ed, then we're going to have another war and another war and another war, and we keep justifying it and we keep trying to make it pretty. We're going to wind up spending over $700 billion on just health benefits for the veterans coming home and the scars, emotional and physical. I see, and we are less safe. We're less secure. The Middle East has made no progress whatsoever. And again, we need to keep calling out that war is a policy you don't go to lightly. And as you well know, the media played an awful part in the cheerleading to the Iraq War. I mean, just awful. It was very difficult to speak out. I remember, getting death threats on the phone and emails and a level of hatred and attack that I've never experienced on any other of the campaigns we've done. And it's because the media, led by Fox, but a lot of the traditional media, the New York Times, went along in a big way in supporting this.
Yeah. It was the Bush doctrine was embraced by the mainstream media. And there was silence in the Senate. There was no debate. And now we want to know why we don't have schools being built, roads being fixed, bridges being repaired, our economy. It ended up in Iraq. We have taken over $1 trillion out of our economy. We've put it on the backs of the next generation. And now we're giving, there's a move to give even further tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. And I think, I have to tell you this. Anytime we do a story on Iraq on the Ed Show on MSNBC, they rate the different quarter hours. Mm-hmm. It never does well in the ratings because people are sick of it.
Yep.
They're absolutely.
Yep.
They don't want to hear about Iraq.
Yep.
They don't want to hear about war. They're mad at what we've done. They're mad at how we've done it. They're mad at how we were hoodwinked. They're furious at what it's cost us as far as our infrastructure, and it's caused a great political divide in this country as to what our priority list should be right now. We've got politicians at each other's throats, and it is because we don't have the resources that we had because of the Bush tax cuts, because of these two wars that were off budget, unfunded, and, of course, the big pharma deal. That's where we are in the last 10 years. And it's been horrific policy. And I always play that audio whenever I can of Robert Byrd, because I don't want Americans who are starting to pay attention to what the hell do we really do. Well, there was one voice that was out there that was asking, do we know what we're doing? And we have to ask the critical questions if we're going to have a democracy and have any kind of liberty whatsoever in this country. It's really shameful what has happened, and I hope it doesn't happen again. We went to war on a lie. That's what we did as a country. We bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And it was about oil. It's exactly what it was about. And so on this day that it's officially done, Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films, what kind of work do you have coming out? What do you have documented for us where people can go to if they ever need a refresher course on what a tremendous mistake this was?
Well, they can go to Iraq for Sale, which was our film about the war profiteering that was going on during Iraq. And then there was Uncovered, which was the original documentary we made showing exactly what you're saying, Ed. But when we made it, we were saying, no, we've not been given the real reasons for war. And people were, again, quite viciously attacking us. But I think most important is going forwards. And if they join me on Twitter or on Facebook or our War Costs campaign, where we're going very clearly how much it's costing us and how the fact that the head of KBR last year made $8 million, the head of Northrop Grumman made $22 million, the head of Lockheed Martin $21 million. Those are our dollars, and they're being made off the backs of war and weapons we don't need. And we need to take on the military-industrial complex very directly, and we need to talk about that 0.1, that less than 1%, who are benefiting in a horrific way off of all of us.
Robert Greenwald, great work. Appreciate your time. Keep it up for America. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Ed.